Yes. Well, I'm Masoud Seifikar from Imperial College, and today I'm going to talk about the new experience that we had about using Matlab Grader in a programming course and designing a flipped learning classroom. But before we start, let me give an overview about our group and what we are doing. I was in University College Cork, and I did a master degree in teaching and learning in higher education. And in 2019, I joined Imperial. Now we have a big group of big physics education group now with 11 members. It's growing. We were fewer in the last few years, but we grow over the last 2 years. We are working on active learning project that started in 2019 with my colleagues that you see in the photos. Uh, in this project, we have two main goals. One is looking at blended learning environment and enabling students for engagement in this environment. Another aspect is using physics demonstration to create active learning. My focus is on the first part of the project. Over the last few years, we have used field learning approaches for two undergrad courses, and the survey and focus group that we had showed that the students found them very useful in enhancing their understanding of the topics. I've been offered to teach a Matlab course this year for a master's students, and I try to design a flipped learning approach again, and at the same time I use a Matlab grader for all formative and summative assessment, and I will show you some of the results as well. First, why flipped learning classroom? I'm pretty sure everyone here knows about that. In flipped learning classroom, the sequence of learning arrangement is flipped. A student first start with some self-study, self-paced activities, and instead of direct instruction inside the classroom, it moves to individual learning space, and learners have flexibility to choose when and how to engage with these out of class activities. And also it gives us more space during the lecture time to somehow meet higher level of understanding and thinking inside the class. There are numerous studies that show that field learning classroom improve achievement, motivation, also sufficiency of students. On the other hand, during pandemic, we all used a wide range of the tools, and we are now more eager to use these tools. And it has been shown that using technology enables learning level skills in students and also enhance actual students' learning. Uh, if we do this, if we use technology and have blended learning approach, at the same time we are following universal design guideline as well. In this guideline, we are trying to provide multiple means of representation, action, and engagement. So after this short introduction, I will start explaining course structure, then give a short overview of Matlab Grader, and then I will go to student performance and student survey. This Matlab course was part of a bigger module, research skill taken by MSc students. Previously, it was delivered in 4 weeks in term 2. Other part of the course are mathematical Matlab lab view, and in mini project, a student need to do short 10 hours for a project using one of these tools. And when I started, I had some challenges for this new course. I wanted to redesign course, even the topics. I tried to rearrange topics. A student didn't have enough time between the session previously because we had at least 2 sessions in the past, and in the past, 30% of the final marks came from continuous assessments and 70% for the final assessments. It usually takes long time to provide feedback to students. Previously, we always had 2 lectures for Matlab, so it was easier for them, but I was going to deliver that alone, so it was even more trickier. And a student also usually have wide range of Matlab and also programming experience. So what I did this year, I changed it a little bit. First of all, we had 51 students enrolled in the course. And I had a chat with the department, and we could deliver the course over 4 weeks, 7 weeks this time. The first 5 session was each session per week, and then we had for 2 weeks we had two sessions per week. The first 2 lectures were delivered in person in computing room. I wanted to know a student, make sure that they can run Matlab, they can install Matlab, and they don't have any problem. And after that, we run the sessions on Microsoft Teams. The good aspect of Microsoft Teams was that it enabled us that a student had opportunity to work in group. I divided them in groups so they can work easily inside group. And as I mentioned, the course was designed in blended learning format. I will mention what I mean by blended learning. And also I provided all course material on Blackboard, and I used Matlab Grader to automatically grade all assessment. It was including formative and summative assessment. So what I mean by fluid learning, before each lecture, I provided some pre-lecture material. It was one activity, self-paced interactive activities on Matlab. It wasn't designed by me, it was designed by Matlab itself, but we had access through Imperial College to use those. But I decided which one is relevant, and I used them. It was good that it was self-paced, the student received immediate feedback. And after that, I asked them to do pre-lecture exercise on Matlab Grader. Then during the lectures, I usually try to give a short lecture. This year, it was longer than I expected. It was usually at least 30 minutes, despite the fact I wanted to make it even shorter. Then I asked the student to work on the exercises. The exercises, usually I design to have 6 exercises in each session, 3 short exercises with 1 mark and 3 long ones with 2 marks each. And then I also provided some self-paced modules. There are more advanced modules on Matlab websites for students that are willing to spend more time and learn more. So for the assessment, each session of the course had 10% of the final marks. It means that 90% of the total marks was continuous assessment. That 10%, 1% was for pre-lecture exercise that was submitted before each lecture, and 3 marks for short exercises and 6 marks for longer exercises. And the final assessment, I had 5 exercises for final assessment. There were only time that I regraded all codes again, because I wanted to make sure a student were following good programming practices, commenting, and the rest. And all exercises were submitted on Blackboard. So for the assessment for the first few weeks, I didn't put any limitation for attempts. So a student could submit as many attempts as they want. For example, as you see here, for example, for this exercise, 49 students attempted this one. 84% solved this, and 7 couldn't solve this. It shows the number of submissions per learner. You see that we had students that tried submitting 26 times for one exercise. It was somehow good that they could practice, and learn, but at the same time, we don't want the student to spend too much time on this as well. So let me now switch to Blackboard to show it in practice. Can you confirm that you can see the Blackboard website? Can you see my screen now?
Yep, I can see it.
So that's the organization of the sessions. For example, let me go to one of the sessions here. You see, I started with pre-lecture activities, some pre-lecture exercises, and I provided some text that lecture material here, and then some lecture document. For this lecture document, I decided to provide them from Matlab website as well. So it's not possible to teach students everything in 9 sessions, but I wanted to show them that anything that they want, they can provide, they can find on Matlab website. So instead of providing link, I choose to bring everything inside Blackboard. So you don't need to leave Blackboard to pass this course. Everything could be done inside Blackboard. And then some exercises, and then some PDF file and lecture notes, and then some extra activities. Let me show you one of the exercises here. For example, here, we are now going inside Matlab Grader, but it's good that it was integrated into the Blackboard. So you see here the title, and then I put the text here. It's easy to write down equations and bring figures from outside, and then it's the question itself. And then I provide a reference solution, and then I can provide a learner template as well. For example, there are the codes that students have already in the code. So for example, with the parameter I put here for this question to make sure they are using the same parameter. It is possible to use functions as well. That's what I did later during the course. And also you can have only pass or fail or weighted part for the assessed part. For this question, I had 4 tests, and during tests, I can check different parameters or data here, or I can even check which comments they used, or even I can say that they cannot use some comments. For example, for the first few weeks, I didn't want to them to use for loops or if conditions, so I could express that one as well. And then if you go to the report, you see the plots that I just show you for this exercise. It also shows that for the student that submit the correct solution, it shows where they lost mark as well on average. And if you go through them, you see more detail here. So let me go back to my slides. So what I like about Matlab Grader, it automatically grade assessments. I had around 67 summative assessments. You can imagine for 51 students, how long does it take to do that? And I won't be able to do that fast, so it usually takes a long time. It also provides a flexible learning environment that can be adopted face-to-face or remote. It facilitates delivering a course in blended learning environment. That's what we are looking for. And it's also possible to use the already made sample problem sets on Matlab Grader, but you should be careful. You should make sure to test them before. Some of them, they have some bugs as well. It is possible to integrate it into Blackboard for me, and that was very valuable. For students, I went through Matlab software with them and suggested to do them. But if they had a problem with Matlab software, they don't need to install Matlab. Everything could be done inside Blackboard and can be easily used for formative and summative assessment. And it's important that the student found it useful and fun way of practicing Matlab. we had some limitation. First, it's not possible to limit the number of submissions in Matlab Grader. It can be only done in Blackboard. When I go to grade centers, I can see that the students had 2 submissions, and then I need to decide what I want to do with that. Also, I cannot find students in Matlab Grader. If I want to see a specific submission by a student, I need to ask the ID solution for that submissions from the students. And that's what I did. For example, for the final assessment, I asked the student to put the ID solution for all submissions in the Excel sheet. For up to week 4, they had opportunity to submit as many submissions as they wanted, but later I limited that to 2 submissions. And for the final assessment, I asked them to submit only 1 code. There were some cases that, for example, they said that, oh, they submitted by mistake or something like that. I was flexible with that. Some students may be frustrated by the strict testing used by grader. For example, if they use lowercase or something, they won't get the grade there. That's why that in lots of questions, I try to have some pre-test. It's possible that to when you have a test, say that this is pre-test. So a student can run pre-test and see the error before submitting the final submissions. Now I will go to the how a student did with this one. First, the data from Blackboard and Matlab Creator and the survey that we ran, and 90 students up to now submitted a result for this survey. First of all, students did very well in submitting all the questions. I had 67 exercises in total, and on average, 48 students attempted each exercise, and that was very valuable. Not only they attempted that, they got good grades as well. On average, the total mark was 90%, and to be honest, that was one of the reasons that I limited the number of submissions, because the total mark was going very high. So I decided one way is limiting the number of submissions. So, and that's the average marks each session. You see that I deliberately increased the difficulty of the questions when we went to the following sessions. It started from 9.8 out of 10 to 9, and for the final assessment, it was around 8. So, a student survey, I asked a student how much each of the following help your learning and understanding of the course. You see, for exercises for each session, they found it very valuable, a great or lot. The PDF lecture notes, there are varied extra activities. You see how range. Lots of people said that enough. Some people said not too much. Email correspondence with lecturer. You see that lots of people found it very useful. Working with peers, final assessments as well. Same for in-person lecture, live lecture on team, recorded lectures on Blackboard. Lecture activities, again, you see they found it very useful. The lecture exercises was very positive as well. Lecture document on Blackboard. So to make it easier to compare, I put the average here. So the first one that we see here was for the exercises of each session. The numbers should be something between 1 and 7. And for this one, it was 6.6 out of 7. That was fantastic. And the lecture document, pre-lecture exercises, and pre-lecture activities all were very useful, it seems, to a student. But the lowest one is for extra activity that was only for interested students. It's a little bit higher than average marks. So I ask, how effective do you perceive the pre-reading material and exercises to be compared to other more passive learning activities and methods? You see that it was positive. Most people said effective, slightly more effective, or most effective. Some people said comparable. A couple of people, only one student said less effective. How effective was Matlab grader in auto-grading the exercise and assignments compared to ordinary methods where students submit the codes which will be assessed by instructor later? Again, only 2 students says less effective. Most students found it more effective. Which type of lecture do you prefer? I said all in person. A few people said all in person, but lots of people said that it was good. We had a couple of in-person lectures before moving to online lectures. On average, how much time did you spend on pre-lecture activities? You see that it was something between 30 minutes to 1 hour. On average, how much time do you spend on exercises itself? It's something between 2 and 3 hours. And on average, how did you find the pre-lecture activities? Except one student, most of them said that it was easy, from slightly easy to moderate to easy, and a few people said that neither easy or difficult. And how did you find exercises in each session? You see, this one people found it more difficult, but no one said it was extremely difficult. On average, how many attempts did you submit for the exercises? It varies from 1 to 2, but the peak is around 2. And also, he said that how many attempts would you like to have for each exercise? But it seems, again, they want 2 to 3 exercises, a chance at least for submission. How important would you rate each of the following activities? Summarizing pre-reading during the lecture, summarizing pre-reading. I think lots of people said it's important, and also going through content again, providing more example, working on exercises individually, they found it very important, and also working with peers that I think most of them found important as well. So how effective did you find the pre-lecture exercises? I had most comments were very positive. The 3 students said the best useful way to introduce the topic. 4 students said that it was very effective or really useful. 1 student said very good for introducing the focus of the week, and 1 said it helped me get an understanding of the week problem. 2 students mentioned that 1 said that there was no need of having them. Another person said too easy and not helpful. We also had 2 more comments. One once mentioned it was effective, but it didn't see a big difference between the pre-lecture exercises and other exercises. And also the other one mentioned, I see them just as a small test for whether doing the pre-lecture material or not, because they are usually really easy. They are right. They meant to be only an easy test to make sure that they are doing the pre-lecture activities. How did you find the self-paced pre-lecture material very engaging? It allowed me to go at my own pace rather than trying to go faster and now understand. It was really useful, though it was unclear initially how much we were supposed to do before each session. Helpful but easy. And what do you think about the exercises for each session? What do you like about them? What need to be changed? One student says that the exercise are the best part of this course. Leave them and remove lectures and final assessment. Then the course it's perfect. So I found it positive comment because it shows that it was working, and the purpose of lectures was only to summarizing what they had in the pre-reading activities. I'm sorry.
Just so that we have there's 5 minutes left, just so we have time for some questions.
Yes, I'm finishing here.
Okay.
How did you find final assessments here? Moderate to difficult? And here, sorry for this. I don't know what's wrong here. Here, what did you like about this course? You see, there were all positive comments here. Go fast here. Like was please provide deficiencies of the course. Some people said it's too challenges. I think online courses classes are hard to follow, and that's the overall rating for the course. And the overall from 1 to 10, and it was around 10. And here is the summary that I leave it for you to read. I'm happy to answer any question.
Okay, thanks a lot, Masoud. I'll give you a little applause. Okay, so there is a question in the Moodle page. Maybe I'll just, unless Chris, maybe you just want to ask your question.
Hi, Mark. Yeah, sure. Thanks for the talk, Masoud. I was just wondering if you had seen. I'm assuming that students are in for the summative assessment are all trying the same questions. So I was just wondering if you would if you had any protection against sort of students working together, colluding, or if Matlab grader offered anything that could, detect similarity between solutions.
No, unfortunately, it doesn't have any feature for that one. And to be honest, I wasn't too worried about that. Even during the lecture, for the first couple of exercises, I encouraged them to work together, because for me, the main question was, are they learning? Are they practicing? And the number of exercises was too high. In total, as I said, the summative assessment, I had 68 assessments. Some of them were really long. And I had lots of email correspondence with the students. And actually, I might show you a slide about that here. If I find that they spend too much time, but it was clear for me that most students are spending time to make sure that they are understanding the topic. And but you are right, Matlab doesn't have randomization in Matlab Grader.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much for that. And I just had maybe a more practical question. Matlab, I guess there's a license fee that institutions, does the grader come with the normal Matlab?
The Matlab Grader comes with Matlab, at least for Imperial. I think it is the same for everywhere.
Right, I see.
Because you need to be able to submit, to log into Matlab website. And if you can log in, you already have access.
I see. Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions for Masoud? So I just had another, maybe just a comment on, you went through all those surveys, quite interesting seeing, it looked like quite an extensive survey, I guess you did, of your students at the end. And one of them was their self-reported number of attempts that they took. It would be interesting to compare that to the actual number of attempts. I suspect they'll probably be different, but
I think they are not too wrong, because after session 4, even for session 5, I told them that you have only one submission, because I wanted them to learn how to, because I saw some students are only submitting to get the results. So I said that you need to learn to think first, to make sure that your code is final, and then submit. For that one, I had lots of email. They said, "Oh, I submitted by accident or something like that." And for the following session, I said that you have 2, because for the half of the sessions they didn't have a choice to submit more than 2. So right. I can accept that that wasn't too bad. I think the average of around 3 was a good average.
Right. Okay, great.
And also, I should mention that we are running some surveys as well in the next few weeks, so to further discuss the course with the students.
Cool. Okay, well, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, everyone, for attending.